The validate me. They're similar to the victim, but they seek others' approval first and foremost. But not actually because they want to kick around the tires. They just want to be able to say, you know what? Yeah, I didn't know what to do, so I went and talked to Pastor Ty, and he said he thought I should do it, so I did it. And what are you going to do if the pastor says you should do it? It didn't work out, so I don't know. Maybe Pastor Ty isn't, that wise. Or they just want to talk about it. They don't actually want to do anything. They want to make sure, you've heard the phrase paralysis by analysis? A lot of those guys are validate me kind of guys. They'll take action as long as they're sure there's somebody else that they can at least share the blame with if it all goes to pot. You'll meet these guys, right? You know people like this. They'll tell you all the things that are wrong. I don't know, 3 weeks ago, they canceled school where we live the day before there was even a cloud in the sky. And people lost their minds. Well, back when we were in school, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you know what? And I turned 50 and whatever filter I had, it went away. Because I was like, you know what? Would you just please shut up? And they're like, what? I'm like, could you just please stop talking? And part of it is the principle, the guy who has to make that decision is a guy I know and respect. Like, you can't even decide what you're going to eat for supper without having a fight with your wife. Shut up about a guy that's got to make a decision for 2,000 families on what's going to be safe or not in the morning. Well, and I'm not kidding you, he literally looks at me, he goes, my neighbor agrees with me. Well, Lottie frickin' da. That's a validate me. We do this in society all the time. This is why we've weaponized research. Well, research shows, I was talking to Ty and Caleb and somebody else about this book that I'm reading, and I actually, against my better judgment, paid to read one of the research articles that was written, or that was cited in the book. And the number of people that were studied was 56, which is not a big sample size. But I found research that backs up my opinion. Well, he says, I like John Deere. My buddy likes red tractors. So every time I see him, I'm like, if it's red, leave it in the shed, bro. Well, that guy runs a giant operation and he agrees with me. Okay, first of all, it's a joke. But secondly, what do I care? Right? When you live here, we're going to look at some people in the Bible who did this. When you live here, you're not going to move. And here's the rub. It feels safe. We were just talking at the break, and Ty was talking about some research that he was reading. And he said, here's the interesting thing. Avoiding controversy is actually controversial. But here's why. You don't trust somebody who won't move. We instinctively know, I can't trust that person if he has to be validated. Because if we're going this way, I have a friend like this. If we're going this way and we've committed to this, and then he goes to seek more validation from people, more assurance from people, and he finds a group that's big enough to say, nope, don't do it this way, what's he going to do? He's going to stop, and I've already committed. And it's one thing if we okay, we have new information, we need to reconsider this. It's another thing if it's just because their opinion's different than ours. We attend the largest church in our town. About 4,000 people live in our town. So, right? But they were talking about it in my men's group, and the one guy was like, most of the people that are in our church aren't from our town. And I know, the last time they let me preach, I actually said from the pulpit, if you left your last church just because you were mad, please go back. Because eventually you'll get mad here and you won't feel validated here. So please go back. Or at least go somewhere else. That way we don't get used to you being here, and when you throw a temper tantrum, we suddenly have a hole to fill. The guys that run our church, I would consider the three of them very good friends, but they were stressed that day.